Welcome back to the Run Radio podcast. My name's Trina Wilcox. My guest today is here for I'm sorry for the reason you're here, but I'm glad for the shift that you're making something great, a legacy out of a tragic situation. Anita King, welcome. Tell me why you are here.
I am here and thank you so much for having me.
Yes.
I'm here this morning to talk about um, my amazing son, Devin King. Devin was a phenomenal athlete, and track was his sport. He really was a hurdler, and we are here to honor that for him because he's not here anymore. He was killed in an accident last March. And my main focus since then has been to make sure that Devin's name continues to be spoken, that people who never had the opportunity to meet him can hear about what an amazing person he is, and he can still have an impact on the community in a different way that he would have, because he would have had a phenomenal impact on this community.
Yeah, well, he is. He's going to. There's going to be a DK Memorial track meet June 1st at 5 p.m. in honor of him. And so I think that's a fantastic way. It invites all levels of ability so everybody can come and have a great time and be encouraged because of, keeping his name alive and legacy alive. So what could you tell us a little bit about him? Like, what was it like to have him as a son?
Um, Devin is such a kind, sweet soul, and he was very reserved in people that he didn't know. So I often joke that the first 11 years of his life, he spent hiding behind me.
Yeah.
He was my shadow. He was not big on meeting new people. So the people that were in his life really had been in his life for years. His best buddy, Quinn, was a friend from preschool, and they were still best friends. 18 and a half years later, he had friends from middle school. His circle was his circle, and he loved everyone in his circle. He loved very hard. He wasn't afraid to show that. He challenged me as a mother because he had his boundaries, just like what I spoke about. He did not want to be the person to go and hug everyone in the room. But he was very, very loving. He was a great sportsman. He always cheered on his teammates. He always encouraged his teammates. He loved competition. And honestly, I can't think of a sport that was available that he didn't try.
Yeah.
He had a basketball in his hand from before he could walk. He played basketball very hard all the way through his junior year in high school. He did gymnastics. He did wrestling. He was a skateboarder. He played football. He just swimming. He excelled at everything. He was so athletic. It was amazing. It was terrifying sometimes, but it was amazing. He was just so good at everything. But he was always very fast. And when he was on one of his first basketball teams, when he was about 5 years old, at the Boys and Girls Club, they called him Fire Feet because he was so fast. And so all these little kids out there calling him Fire Feet, and he would just run down the court with that ball. So we knew he was fast. We didn't really have the opportunity to see how fast until about middle school, when he started in the track program, and he just excelled. And he came home one day from track practice and he was like, "Mom, the coach asked if there was anyone that wanted to run the hurdles, and nobody said anything. So I raised my hand and I said, I guess I'm it."
Oh,
and he was amazing. In 2018, he participated in the USATF Junior Olympics in North Carolina, and he placed sixth. So he's the junior Olympian.
oh.
I've got the medal right over here. I look at it often. Um, but he was so much an athlete, but he was so much more just a phenomenal young man. He was going to be a school teacher. He
Oh.
started out at Evangel
Mhm.
thinking that he wanted to major in graphic arts or digital arts. And while that was a passion for him and he was really good at it, his senior year in high school, he had the opportunity to do some tutoring at an elementary school. And so he did that, and he really was just um fell in love with being able to connect with the kids, and I think really just being an impact. And so after his first semester, he said, I really want to be a school teacher, and I can coach, and I can show all of these kids how great sports are. So he really just had a heart for people, and just an amazing young man.
So did you say it's just coming up on a year or it was just a year?
We just passed a year. March 30th of 2023 was the accident.
How are you doing considering?
I have found that the journey of grief is so overwhelming at times. The loss of a child is such a profound loss that really there aren't words to in the English language or in any language that I've found really to describe it. But I have found that our society struggles with grief.
Mm-hmm.
And so I really have told people I am grieving, and I will be grieving for the rest of my life. There are some things that happen that are just bad, and there's no silver lining, there's no lesson to be learned. There's no there's nothing positive about this. And so I am sharing my grief journey. I have not shied away from it. And it makes some people uncomfortable,
Mm.
but this is this is what I have to build my life upon now.
Mm.
And honoring Devon is such a huge part of that, but also honoring myself and sharing with others and hopefully changing the narrative around grief. It's okay to cry. I will cry. And I never know when I will cry. I mean,
Yeah.
I had a real hard time at Target one day because I was walking down the aisle and I passed the Gatorades, and I was like, I I'll never have to buy another Gatorade. That wasn't for me. That was for my child because that's what his body needed. And having that realization and being able to process that in real time is self-care.
Yeah.
And so I always tell people when they ask how I am, I'm not doing well, but I'm here. You
Oh.
know, or in this moment I'm okay, because there are times where I am okay. Um my therapist and I talk a lot about the and. I am sad and I am present. You
Yeah.
know, I am grieving and I am able to accomplish this. And really, I feel like me talking about that with people I know and even people I don't know, because there are people who ask, and sometimes they're shocked when I say I'm not okay, because the
Yeah.
typical response is, oh, I'm fine. I am not fine.
Yeah. It's honest.
Yeah. And so I think that's a huge part of my self-care moving forward, is just like you said, being honest and making sure that people understand that you don't have to be uncomfortable if someone is not okay.
Mm-hmm. Who's been your support team? I mean, you mentioned therapy, which I think is very necessary and wise to pursue in such a devastating situation, or just in life in general to, have
Right.
a baseline, as they say. But yeah, what about a support network? Have you had that?
I have had an amazing outpouring of care and concern and, just raw love from people. I have an older daughter, so Devrin um, has an older sister who is 5 years older. So she's 24 now. She'll be 25 in November. And she just really has been a huge rock for me because I have someone who has been there with me this whole journey. Her and Devrin, were so close, and Devrin was her biggest cheerleader, and she was his biggest cheerleader, and so we have found kind of fallen into each other in a different way. She's always been my baby girl, but this is a whole different dynamic.
Yeah.
And so I appreciate all of the things that she's done while she's grieving herself. And then I've had just, an amazing group. One of Devrin's best friend's mother, who was a friend of mine, her name is LaDonna. She was the person that came over and just sat with me. And she fed me when I couldn't eat, and she cleaned my house, and she watched trashy reality TV with me,
Yeah.
and just was present. And I've got, a group of friends, Amber and Elisha, and my sister was a huge and is a huge part of that. She has shown up in ways that really, I mean, she's done things. I was telling my friend the other day, I asked her to do things that I couldn't do. She picked up the certificates, and she still has them because she knows that I can't have them right now. She read a police report that I couldn't read. She has done those hard things only for me, and I give her so much thanks because she's grieving as well. She lost her nephew. We lost a huge part of our family. My sister and I are the only two siblings, and we each have two children. So, and my parents are still here. So really the core group of us is 8, and taking one away from that, and not only taking one away, but such a uh hard loss in that it was, so unexpected, and so he was the baby. It's
Yeah.
not natural. It's not natural to lose a child or a grandchild. And I think there are so many things that compound that loss, that, he was such a great kid. He had so many goals. He was such a hard worker. I had so many, and still do have, people come up to me and say, he loved you, and we know that he loved you. And people that I've never even met, and I'm like, what 18-year-old talks about their mother? He
Oh,
was that kid. He was
yeah,
that kid who wasn't afraid to say, my mom supports me, and my mom shows up. And so it's just, we're missing a huge part of our family.
absolutely. So what made you want to do the track meet? How did this evolve?
I have been fortunate enough. So I have a great connection with the program Ambassadors for Children, which is
Mhm.
a great foundational program here in Springfield that helps kids in foster care. It helps the foster parents with things like clothing and support, and provides guidance. And we do an amazing Christmas program where we get sponsors for the kids, and they get to fill out lists. So the gifts that they get are actually gifts that they want. It's not just random things. And I've been doing that for years and years and years. And the program director or coordinator, her name is Amanda Engel. And shortly after the accident, we were talking, and I was like, I know that I need to do something to honor Devrin, and that's going to help with this community, because he would have been a helper,
Mhm.
no doubt about it. And so that was the entry to the conversation. And then the more that I was thinking, I was like, it has to be sports related because that speaks to him. So we started with so much help from Amanda, Devron's Locker, which is a program through Ambassadors for Children. It's nonprofit that helps kids with new and gently used sporting equipment and sports fees. So scholarships to pay, fees for school sports or sports in the community. And with that, we were like, what can be kind of our annual fundraiser? Because we know that we can get, some monies throughout the year. And when I initially announced the program, we raised about $10,000, which was an amazing feat. And so it's like, how can we keep that up? How can we build that and help more kids in the community? And so I was like, could we do a track meet? And everyone was like, well, that, the logistics of that and getting it off. And I was like, no, that's what we've got to do. So I reached out to one of Devron's track mates at Evangel, and he had actually run track at Parkview when Devron was at Central. So they knew each other before they were track mates at Evangel, and his name is Eli, and he's in marketing. And so I was like, okay, so we're going to get some help. And he's very dedicated, not only to Devron and the track meet, but just the fact of how can we get this out to our running community. He's the one that put us in touch with you.
Yep.
And so between he, my sister and myself, we have just gone full force. And so really our goal is to make this an annual event where we raise funds for Devron's Locker. We're going to have the first distribution from Devron's Locker at this track meet. So I'm really excited about that. But that's going to kind of keep Devron's Locker in the minds of people in the community and tie it to an event that is not only fun, it's going to, bring some joy to everyone, but it's also going to hopefully introduce some people to Devron who didn't have the opportunity to meet him before. So in my mind as a mom, I'm kind of building the Devron King fan club.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
want to build the Devron King fan club as much as possible. And so really, we've got some exciting events. I'm very, very excited to see the turnout for the first annual, and then we'll continue to do it every year.
Sounds great. I love Devron's Locker because sports, for those that want to participate, it can make such a difference in, their relationships, kids' confidence, and it's such a great thing. So I'm glad that you're helping get everyone involved that wants to be involved. That's a great thing to do.
Absolutely. I definitely saw a different side of Devron when he was on the basketball court or on the track. He was not a big kid. He was always one of the smaller kids on the basketball court, but he was in control. And a lot of that was the coaches saying, Devron, you've got this. Devron, you can do it, and working with him and hearing the people in the stands. And he would always tell me, Mom, I hear you yelling. And I'm like, I'm not yelling, I'm cheering. And and it's like kids hear that, and to be able to experience that and hear someone cheering for them and yelling at and encouraging, I think it really helps build their self-esteem and build their confidence and create that teamwork that we all know everybody needs in life. We need to be able to work as a team. We need to be able to function with other people. And I just wholeheartedly believe sports is such a core of that for kids, and they build upon that as they go throughout life.
For sure. Well, thank you so much for sharing. Tell people where they can go if they want to contribute to Devron's Locker right now.
Absolutely. So on the Council of Churches website, there is a Devron's Locker link under Ambassadors for Children. There is also an events page on Facebook, the DK Memorial Track Meet. And there are all the links on that event page. There's the registration link. We're still encouraging people to register to run. There's a donation page directly to Devron's Locker. And then the event itself is this Saturday, June 1st at 5 p.m. at Harrison Stadium, which is the Central Football and Track Stadium. We've got a food truck. We've got a photo op, balloon arch. We've got T-shirts, which will be a great keepsake because this is the first annual. So you want to be a part of that and grab a T-shirt. And then in addition to, of course, we've got the hurdles, which was Devron's event. We've got the 100, 200, 800 mile. We've got a couple relays, and then we've got some fun things. We've got a little kids fun run. So kids that aren't necessarily in school yet. And then we've got an inflatable costume run, which is going to be our very last race. You don't have to bring your costume. We've got plenty of them, but we're going to wrap the meetup with a really fun race, and you don't have to be a runner to do that race. So I've had a lot of people say, I want to participate, but I'm not a runner. But again, you know, we're open to all levels. We've got people registered from 8 to 60. So we're looking to not only go out and run, which is obviously good for us, but build some camaraderie, have some fun, and remember Devron.
Love it. Thank you so much for sharing. Come back after the inaugural one. We'll celebrate the next one. I appreciate what you're doing for the community and in honor of your son, Devron. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Be sure you're following along at runradio.net.